How confident are you of being re-elected as a government tomorrow?
Well, I think we've done the hard work. We've put in front of the people of Queensland our plan. We've told the people of Queensland how we can fund the future that a growing state's going to need, the hospitals, the roads, the schools, and we're continuing to campaign right up to the very last moment on polling day. So I'm confident that the people of Queensland, comparing the choices, will support the LNP.
Does it worry, though, that given the party won such a thumping majority and was a big, big win back in 2012, you're now in a situation where things could get pretty close, not necessarily the Labor Party being re-elected, but picking up 25, 30 seats from you?
Well, look, I think politics is always an interesting business, and people are obviously very attuned to what's going on here in Queensland. That's why when we talk to the people of Queensland, we make it very clear we're talking about the policies that we have, the strong team to implement those policies and how we can pay for them into the future. And that's what I think people are concerned about. They don't want the uncertainty and chaos that they see in the Senate in Canberra, or that was experienced during the Rudd-Gillard years down in Canberra with minor parties and independents helping Labor flop over the line.
Is Campbell Newman going to hold Ashgrove?
Well, the decision that the voters of Ashgrove have to make is the same decision that voters across Queensland have to make, and that is a strong team, a clear plan, funding for the future, or the chaos and uncertainty of Labor flopping over the line with Greens and independents.
I'll ask the question again, will Campbell Newman win Ashgrove?
Well, Michael, I've been asked this question every day of the campaign, and I've in fact been asked it today.
He's your leader.
Already.
Of course, you'd be confident he'd win. Why won't you say that?
Well, no, as I say, I think Campbell will win, as I have said on many occasions. I think he's done the work. He's been a great local member. He's delivered for his electorate, whether that's in funding for schools or road upgrades, or in fact just being around. I know he and Lisa are in the electorate almost every weekend doing something down there at the Ashgrove School of Dance. So he's been a great local member, and I think the people of Ashgrove know that.
What do you make of his argument, and you've all made it, that if he goes and Ashgrove, the government goes? The simple electoral math suggests that's not going to happen.
Well, the pundits will always pore over these sorts of figures and numbers. I've watched, I simply say this, I've watched elections for a long time. Swings are never uniform and results always surprise. I certainly believe that Campbell has done the hard work in Ashgrove to get re-elected, and I do believe that the people of Ashgrove's decision is the same that the decision they're going to make in Clayfield or in Townsville, and that is who has the plan to fund the future to deliver the growth that Queensland needs to provide jobs.
Well, that's right, okay, but Ashgrove is held by a 5.7% margin. The Labor Party needs 12% to get back into office, but for argument's sake, if Labor gets an 8% swing, the government's back and Campbell Newman's gone.
Well, as I say, swings come and go, and they're never uniform. They go up and down in various seats. There are always seats that surprise, if I can put it that way. But I'm confident that in Ashgrove, Campbell has done the work, and I am confident that the people in Ashgrove understand the decision they make to elect a good local member, but also a Premier who's led a strong team that has delivered for Queensland.
If voters disagree with that argument and vote against Campbell Newman, he loses the seat, would you be interested to put your hand up to be Premier?
Well, Michael, again, a question that's been asked many times, and I am confident that the people of Ashgrove will support Campbell Newman, and we'll see that on the Saturday, the 31st of January.
You'd like to be Premier one day. Every politician worth his or her salt has their baton in their backpack.
Well, I'm very content being the Treasurer. It's been a tremendous privilege and an honour to do that, and I hope to be able to continue to do that after the 31st of January.
Okay, now one of your key policies has been the $37 billion sale, privatisation of government-owned assets. Why are you pressing ahead with that when, as the results showed in 2012, voters turned savagely against the Labor government for selling off state-owned assets?
Well, firstly, we're very different from the Labor Party, and we've told the people of Queensland that we'll be leasing these businesses, so they will retain the ownership of those businesses. They'll have them forever. They are not, going anywhere. We've also spent a year telling people about the problems that we need to fix. An $80 billion debt costs us $4 billion a year in interest, and we need to pay down that debt if we're going to build those roads and schools and railways that I spoke about. So 12 months I've been on the road. I've covered more than 20,000 kilometres. So unlike Labor, who said one thing and did another, we've been very upfront with the people of Queensland about how we're going to fund the future and provide that $8.6 billion to build the future roads, the congestion-busting roads, the new rail links and the new railways that we're going to need as a growing state.
The Premier has made it very clear in some electorates that if you don't return the LNP member, you won't get the infrastructure promises allocated for that seat. That's nothing short of electoral blackmail, isn't it?
Well, we've been saying that in order to fund the future, to put in place those commitments that are being made, you need a strong LNP team in the Parliament. You need to get the government re-elected if you want to see those promises we've made, because if you look at our opponents, they've made no promises, no infrastructure policy, no public transport policy, remarkably. In an election campaign, nothing about public transport, nothing about the cost of living, nothing about funding the new hospitals we're going to need. So in order to get those sorts of things in the electorates throughout the state, you need your local LNP member to be part of our team to make sure that we're in government.
How damaging has the Tony Abbott knighthood controversy been to your government's chances?
Well, look, I think it's been a distraction. I think it's been an odd decision, and there's been lots of commentary around that. But we've really been focused on what we need to do here in Queensland. People know that this is a Queensland election around Queensland issues, and in particular about how we are going to grow this state. I mean, a state that's forecast to grow by 5.75% next year, the fastest growing state in the nation, the first time we're going to have a fiscal surplus in a decade, be able to pay our own way, and now we have a plan to build the infrastructure that a growing state's going to need.
Why was it an odd decision?
Well, I think it just took people by surprise, and it certainly took us by surprise. If you had asked me, I would have said, well, there's plenty of good Queenslanders who would be able to deserve those sorts of support and prizes, and I guess it's taken people by surprise.
Okay, what is your basis of success tomorrow in terms of minimising any anti-government swing? What do you see as a good result?
Well, look, I think that tomorrow the voters will have their say, and I don't want to predict those sorts of things, but I think what we'll see is a very clear delineation between two parties, one that has the policies and one that is really running on froth and bubble, nothing of substance behind it. As I say, at the end of a campaign, for a political party in Queensland not to have a policy on infrastructure, not to have a policy on public transport, not to have a policy on where to build schools and hospitals is quite remarkable, and I think shows a wasted 3 years in opposition by an economically incompetent opposition.
Tim Nicholls, thank you very much for your time and all the best for tomorrow night.
Thanks very much, Michael.